Okay, it's 1 past, so maybe we can start. Hi everyone, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks.
Okay, great. So I believe I have a first item in the agenda. I'm just trying to find. There's Sanat updated me on the environment for testing migration. There's the two issues there. So we still wait for the environment, but there's some progress. So I hope it will we can like test it and check it out pretty soon. So this is from me. And the other part, do I understand correctly from the daily updates that we are now focusing on creating background migration and also breaking down phase 2 issues?
Yeah, I think there is still a bit of work left with the filtering project namespaces. There are a couple other MRs there. And there is also work left with the create project namespace on the project creation. I've been just adding some spec coverage for the actual creation of the project right now. So I'll be committing that. And I think Charlie was saying she'll take a look at that also when she comes back. And in regard to backfill migration, I did move today to the view. It's not the migration itself, it's the code behind the migration, basically. So we can have the code in master, and then we can just spin up a migration when we need one, either for a specific group or for the entire thing, and so on. So, yeah.
And what is like, do you have any idea when it's going to be merged or when it's going to be ready?
To review today, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it ended up being quite a big one because I've also had to add a lot of the isolation code in there, as we usually do with the background migrations. I think you're aware, like you're not supposed to use the models from within the code base and so on. So yeah. But yeah, we'll see what feedback. I've got Adam looking briefly at it when I just started, and he seemed to be okay with that, but we'll see how it goes.
Jan, you have next point.
Yeah, just a minor. Promoted the issue about membership consolidation to the Epic and edit subtasks. So if anyone has a couple of minutes, please take a look. And also it would be cool if someone from Managed Access team or Managed team could review this, because this is in scope of their domain expertise and their feedback would be very valuable.
I will ping Liam again to find if someone from Access have time to do that. I hope so. They're spread pretty like probably every group. There's a lot going on, but I hope we can have someone from Access looking at this soon.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, on the same note, I have probed down the roads related issue. I did not move it yet into specific issues because I find it easier to collaborate and discuss within a single thread. And once we kind of come to an agreement, then we can move it to specific issues. I've tried to add some estimates, but like don't heavily rely on those ones. a really high level estimate, sort of how I see things. I'll link it in the agenda.
And which part of the phase 2 is going to be like the biggest rock for us? The membership or the routes consolidation? Do you see like which one will probably cause some headache for us, or everything looks equally good/bad?
Routes is somewhat similar to backfilling the project namespaces because we want to replace. We want to replace eventually want to replace the routes that are pointing to a project to point to a project namespace. So yeah, there is some dilemma there how to approach it, either by replacing or adding kind of a duplicate record in the routes table to point to the project namespace that allows us to switch in between if something goes wrong. So I think that's what we are leaning towards. I don't know for the others. I didn't really dive into memberships, but I think that's one. Also, I think Jan can speak more to that, but that's where at least that's where we have less expertise, I think, and it's where like it seems a bit more complicated. Maybe I don't know how that interferes with the permissions, access, like all the. I don't know if that interferes in any way at all, or we are just able to do some sort of a backfilling or like moving records around and things like that, and everything just works. I don't exactly know because I don't know.
Yeah, so personally, I think that the routing epic might have a slightly higher priority because we will need it sooner rather than project group membership consolidation might be done in parallel and it doesn't block anything. Regarding the steps in project group membership consolidation, I expect that the approach will be just the classic expand contract project where we make things working both with project members and project namespace members and then do the migration. But I'm keen to see what managed team thinks, or if managed team agrees with this approach. And also there is another big thing, which are policies, which I suspect might be quite tricky and something to take a closer look at. So yeah, we should take a look at this one too. And also I like to get back to the query performance task soon, because it's approaching the time when we will actually start using it or we will need it. And I suspect that it may evolve in many additional tasks to be done if we find out that the current membership querying doesn't work without project authorization caching table.
Yeah, it may be like we don't have the QA, but it may very well be that we need to look into query performance even before we do any of the other like routing or membership or anything, right? Once we start populating the namespaces table, it may very well be that we need to look at some of those queries first.
Yeah, so maybe I meant, sorry, I meant queries related to. I meant queries like give me all resources which are permissioned by the specific user in this
So
namespace
access,
hierarchy.
basically,
Yeah.
access related queries.
So for this, we heavily use project authorization table to get the list of projects which user can access. But without using this, it might be performance degradation.
Yeah, I mean that query performance issue that we have there is kind of a broader scope, I think. It's not only related to the memberships, because like we may need to investigate how we can, or we can have some performance hits because we are now proxying, for instance, routes through the project namespace to get to the project. So I think we can make it wider and then have specific points to deal within that issue, basically with the specific, either with the routes or with the memberships or the access or with the whatnot. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree that some kind of change will be needed on many places in queries, but I would expect that many of these will have to be handled by specific teams when they decide to actually convert or migrate resources to the project namespace, because I suspect we cannot handle everything.
But at some point, do we want to move project authorizations to project namespace authorizations, or do we want to rely solely on just on membership records?
So far, the preference of managed team was to rely on membership queries and avoid caching if possible. And when we have real query measurements on real data, we can evaluate whether it's sufficiently performant or whether we need some kind of caching.
So to ask in really simple terms, does that mean that once we consolidate into project namespaces, the way that we calculate authorization would be more similar to how we do it for groups today than how we do it for projects today? Basically no jobs running like the project authorization jobs and all of that.
Yes, if you would get rid of project authorization table and rely on querying membership on the fly always, then
Yeah, like we do for
yes.
groups.
Yes. Yeah, the benefit is we wouldn't need to keep the caching up to date. The downside is the question whether it's performant enough.
Hopefully the linear queries work, helps us out there.
Okay, is there something else we want to talk about? Okay, if not, I will be here 15 minutes back, and we still have a Slack channel to communicate, and I will see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.